Welcome to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast, and we are talking about the UFC on ESPN Cheeto versus Sandhagen. And the first fight on the main card is Cheety versus Albert Duraev. By the way, I'm lousy, and right next door to me is Backhand. So I'm going to go with Albert Duraev. What do you think about that backhand?
Yeah, I'm going. For me, I'm thinking it's kind of a close fight just because Njokuani, he's got the 5-inch reach advantage and just a great athlete, really good striker. But I'm giving a slight edge to Duraev, and for me, it's one of those fights where I feel like it's gonna go the distance just because Duraev is a great wrestler, but he doesn't really go for huge ground and pound, and Njokuani can get up. So basically, for me, I'm thinking small bet on going the distance, and then I'm also going to live bet this one. I feel like it's going to be kind of one of those fights where they might be rolling around on the ground, get back up. Njokuani can get back up, close round. Maybe Njokuani maybe scores some points with some extra strikes and steals around. It's going to be very interesting. Duraev is plus 130, so he's the underdog. $100 to make 130. But like we said, 5-inch reach disadvantage for Duraev. This is at middleweight, so 185 pounds. And Durayev's the wrestler with 2 takedowns per fight. Njokuani has no takedowns. He's a pure striker. So I'm thinking basically, small bet on going the distance for me. And basically that is just because Njokuani can get up off the ground. He showed that in his last fight with, was it Gregory Rodriguez? He ended up losing. It was on the ground. He did get back up a few times, but then what happened was the other guy, Gregory Rodriguez, had really heavy strikes on the ground, got him in a situation where it was kind of like a side control against the cage, and just, 1 or 2 big shots, and it was too much for Njokuani. I think a lot of people would have gotten finished there. That's my point, is that Njokuani, even though he's gotten finished right there in his last fight, Duraev also, lost in his last fight as a TKO, but again, it was doctor stoppage against Joaquin Buckley, who is maybe one of the heaviest punchers and kickers at 185. What do you think about his last fight, his last performance, and do you think that has any effect, or do you think it's just one of those fights where, big power with Buckley and Duraev just got kind of unlucky right there, doctor stoppage with the eye?
Well, it was more about finally Buckley actually threw some punches type thing, and
Right.
the volume actually got with the power. So anybody's gonna get hit in the UFC, and if you get hit with that type of power, sooner or later something's gonna happen. So
Yeah. So the reason I like distance bet, so you basically lousy. You like the fact that Duraev is that wrestler. Njokuani can get up, but sometimes can be held down for extended periods of time. And you like the aggression, right? What's his name? Duraev likes to go forward,
yeah,
right?
with the massive pressure that he puts on, it's Khabib-esque. It's maybe not Khabib talent, but
Yeah.
it's like Anaconda, like on you, like nonstop, like on you, like to get you in position to some type of submission or take you out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like Duraev with his pressure. I like Chidi because he has one punch power, but Chidi also likes to kick, and I think that will be a problem with a wrestler like this. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I totally see what you're saying, and this is one of those fights where, yeah, if your primary source of attack is a leg kick, you keep doing that, you kick someone's leg, and it's a wrestler and they like to go forward like Duraev does. Could be a recipe for a really bad night for Njokuani, just getting takedown over repeatedly. And so, yeah, so for me, the reason I think a slight edge towards Duraev, but really why I like it going the distance for the bet is basically Duraev likes to go forward. Njokuani can go forward, but Duraev likes to go forward. So Duraev, I see him taking the center of the octagon, pushing Njokuani back. That right there is going to give him that edge to go for takedowns. But even though Duraev got finished, it wasn't a real finish. He got hit in the eye once or twice by the big, heavy-handed power puncher. Yeah, sledgehammers of Joaquin Buckley, and that's the only reason that he had to stop the fight. Otherwise, he could have finished that fight. And in my opinion, he'll be able to go forward. When he sees somebody like Joaquin even or Njokuani, who's a fast striker, try and throw a strike at him, he backs up immediately. And not like Khabib where he'll just back up a little bit and then go forward again. He'll back up a lot. Like we're talking about, he'll back up 3 feet. So he's very smart, and so he doesn't put his head in harm's way going forward like some people do.
Not wild and just going.
Not wild. So it's one of those things where he'll take Njokuani down, possibly with the leg kick, like Lousy said. Possibly when Njokuani likes to go in a little bit too strong with a combination. Again, we're saying that Duraev can sense that, and then he can go for takedowns. So Njokuani can get back up. So it's going to be, I feel, like a messy fight.
Yeah.
And with a messy fight, you got to favor usually the wrestler, because the wrestler is going to be able to do more, score more points, get busy on the ground with the little extra punches on the ground, land the more strikes. But I like it going the distance just because Njokuani can get up. Unless you got huge power on the ground with ground and pound with big power, you're not going to finish Njokuani on the ground because he is smart enough to get up off the ground and change the angles. And Duraev just, even though he's a good wrestler, really good wrestler, he does not punch heavy on the ground. He likes positioning.
Njokuani, he's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt. So for him, positioning and on the ground might not be a problem for him getting up. But like when you are constantly getting taken down, if that happens, it's going to be a problem for him, especially with this type of wrestler.
So I'm excited for this fight. Man, Lousy, you're picking it outright for Duraev. And for me, I'm Albert Duraev. I'm giving a slight edge, but for me, I want to bet a small bet on just going the distance and then live bet it. I think it's going to be a messy fight. But I'm excited now because you picked Duraev outright as the underdog. I love it.
100%. And I'm going to might even do a small first round knockout type bet as well.
For Njokuani? Or just KO in general?
For a KO.
Nice.
Yeah.
In the first round.
First round.
Yeah, we like to talk about getting submission or KO insurance. Njokuani's the dangerous striker, got a lot of KOs on his record.
One punch power.
Yeah, so a first-round knockout could easily happen just because he is so dynamic. He's got a spinning back elbow knockout. So it's great insurance, just a small hedge, just a small bet, a protection bet for just a knockout in the first round. You'll get paid.
But if he goes past the first round, Duraev's winning this fight.
There you go.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. We are talking about the UFC on ESPN, Cheeto versus Sandhagen, and we're talking about the second fight on the card, which is Manel Kape versus Alex Perez. I'm going with Manel Kape for the win, a money line, whatever you want to call it. What do you think about that backhand?
Yeah, I am in total agreement. I saw Manel Kape, his last fight, and I'm going with Manel Kape too. Not only did I see his last fight, I saw his last 5 fights. I'm a true fan of this. He's basically like one of these guys who's turning into, in my opinion, into like a striking legend, like an Anderson Silva or McGregor. I don't know. It's amazing.
Yeah. Star boy. Yeah. Yeah, he makes it exciting to watch some fights for sure. Like he just sees. I'm just going off what you said.
Yeah.
He just sees stuff coming, so it's brilliant.
It feels. I mean, I remember, and me and Lousy, we've been fans for a long time. I mean, Anderson Silva, people know McGregor, but before McGregor, there was a guy like McGregor, but slicker, more creative knockouts, than McGregor. And his name was Anderson Silva. And he was like, in certain fights, he would look like he was in the Matrix, like his fight against Forrest Griffin. Just go and YouTube it, man. It was unbelievable what he used to do to people who were in higher weight classes like Forrest and all this type of stuff, Forrest Griffin. Manel Kape is looking like he was in the Matrix. He literally was dancing like almost the whole fight. It was ridiculous, but also like throwing pretty heavy strikes, and they were super fast, lightning fast. Also, like looked a little bit like Roy Jones Jr. almost with the punches, like so fast. Footwork. Oh my god, yeah, the footwork and like the punching, the hand speed was unbelievable. Like Lousy said. We're going to talk about Alex Perez too, because Alex Perez is definitely still a contender. Really good fighter, great fighter. Got great leg kicks, things like that. But Manel Kape, he gets out of the way of leg kicks right now in his last fight. He's been getting better from fight to fight, and he was knocking people out. But he was still putting, he was not getting out of the way of the leg kicks. Now in his last fight, he finally is putting it all together and getting away from leg kicks, head movement perfect, distance control. He's not standing too close. He's standing the perfect distance where he can completely be out of the way and then dart in, countering. Everything is just, it looks like Anderson Silva just at 125 pounds.
And with 125 pounds, it means wrestling. So Alex Perez is a top tier wrestler.
Yeah.
In the UFC. And with his almost 3 takedowns a fight, it might be a problem for Manel. But with Manel's volume of striking and the way he strikes, he can be colorful with his strike, with his like spinning back kicks, his spinning elbows, stuff like that. He keeps people on their feet. So, I don't know. I think Manel's going to win this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Perez, takedowns, solid, really great fast leg kicks. His counters, he's starting to load up just a little bit. Still a great fighter. Guy who's finished Juicy Formiga, who was a former top 5 guy and a contender at 125, finished Juicy Formiga with leg kicks. So I was high on Perez when he did that, and I'm still high on him. He's still a great fighter. Just think Manel Kape is seeing everything perfectly, can stop the takedowns, can get up from the takedowns, can evade the leg kicks perfectly right now at this moment. He's so fast. It's like the Matrix right now. Right, for me, he's the fighter to watch on this particular card, other than, of course, the main event with, this is going to be great, Vera versus Cory Sandhagen. It's going to be amazing. But Manel Kape just right now, seeing everything, defense, counters, everything, has literally, I would say, every shot in the book. I mean, he's even got the front kick. Everything's perfect, right now. Not sure how his career is going to go. I'm assuming it's going to keep going up, but, his head has to be right, and he's got to do this for a consistent amount of time. Right now, I think he's primed for this particular fight versus Perez. Like I said, he can evade the leg kicks. He can counter great. He doesn't load up. It's very fast, like super fast, like Roy Jones with the hand speed. I'm serious, from boxing. The legend, pound for pound legend. This guy's looking amazing, and I just think he's going to put on a show. Likes to dance while he's fighting, just quick dancing, like completely showboating, but at the same time, not doing it when he's close to his fighter. He's doing it right when he knows he can still get out of the way. So not being stupid with it, which before he was kind of standing a little too close, getting a little showboaty. Now he's at least showboating with the right distance, right? So we're going with Manel Kape. He's minus 175, $175 to make 100, but he's totally worth it. Even though Perez was a contender, he's lost 2 fights in a row to Alexander Pantoja, number 3, and then Figueiredo, who's a former champ. No shame in that. But when I saw him lose, he lost to wrestling, and the other guys, Pantoja went forward, and you could see Perez was kind of, eyes were kind of, head down and just throwing and loading up on counter hooks and just not looking like a real contender just right now. Of course, he can get it back because he's an amazing fighter. Right now, though, I think Kape is going to take control of the fight. So
I totally agree. Kape for the win. Thanks for listening, guys.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We've been drinking MMA, guys. This is Backhand, and they got Lousy over here with me, and we're predicting the fights for UFC on ESPN, Sandhagen, Vera. And this is the 3rd fight on the card. It's Andrea Lee versus Macy Barber, and this is 125 pounds, both ranked fighters. I'm going to go with, in my opinion, I feel like Barber is the better fighter. However, she throws a lot of hooks, and Lee likes to throw straight punches. So for me, I like it going the distance. So I'm going for the betting that it's going to go all 3 rounds.
So it's gonna go to a decision, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a pretty good bet. I think that's a legit like almost a lock bet.
Yeah.
I think Macy Barber is just gonna win outright. If that means knockout or a decision, I don't think it's gonna be a submission or anything. I think it's an easy win for Macy Barber. Andrea Lee is 10 years older than Macy. She's a kickboxer style type fighter. She's a volume puncher. She doubles up on her jabs, which actually is kind of a good thing. And then she either follows up with a big hook or a some type of like leg kick or a side kick to the body. What I like about Andrea Lee too is not that she's done with it, but she's not afraid to get hit. She's in there to fight. She's not in there to like do the 1-2 dance. And then afraid to get hit and then waiting to get hit or whatever. She's in there to actually fight. So yeah. I like that about Andrea.
Definitely.
I actually like that about Macy too. She's actually has some pressure to her. She's not afraid to get hit either, but she's not there to get hit, but she's not afraid to get hit.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. And I totally see what you're saying. Andrea Lee, she'll throw combinations like you're saying, 2 punches and then a kick. not afraid to just get hit a little bit to throw 2 or 3 strikes and have 1 or 2 of her strikes land and just get clipped on the mouth a little bit. Macy, same thing. When she comes in, she'll throw with 1 or 2 hooks, sometimes, 3 hooks even, and with heat, and again, she does not mind going into the hornet's nest and getting stung a little bit to try and land some really heavy, and she has really fast strikes. So I agree. I think Macy definitely has the edge. She's minus 270, $270 to make $100. She's the favorite. I just think, though, that when you're throwing hooks like that, she throws like exclusively hooks and overhand punches, so looping punches and hooks. When that type of stuff happens, the straight puncher like Andrea Lee, even though Andrea Lee's punches are much slower, she has a decent amount of heat on. Not too much heat, but it's like they're purposeful. They're full punches, a little bit slower definitely than Macy's, but she'll connect here and there. And when she does connect, I feel like Macy might think twice then to come in just throwing hooks with like huge speed and all that. And because of that, I think it'll turn into more of kind of like let's back up a little bit, let Andrea lead the dance rather than Macy just trying to go forward and take over the fight. Because of that, I feel like the straight puncher can beat Macy Barber to the punch a little bit, but Macy will, I think, win on points probably. But in case Andrea Lee, just the style matchup kind of gets to Macy and Macy gets a little bit annoyed by it, whatever, or whatever, maybe Macy comes in with a little injury, then the straight punches can start to land a little bit more for Andrea Lee, and you never know. Either way, Andrea Lee won't be able to finish. A great athlete. Macy Barber is a future contender, wouldn't you say?
100%. She might fight for the belt if she keeps on going the way she's going. Andrea Lee looks like the youngest aunt of the family, and then Macy Barber is like the oldest niece, oldest kid, and then they have like a family reunion and they disagree. Why are you talking about my boyfriend like that? And then this fight, and I'm going for Backhand's going to disagree with me on this, but I think this is going to be fight of the night.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. They do like
there's
to
Vera
go
Sandhagen.
Yeah.
There is next one up is Landwehr Ringo, but like I think with the style matchups, it might be. I don't think anybody's getting knocked out, but there's gonna be a lot of volume, and I like that.
Man, I gotta say, I think the 3 fights you mentioned, Andrea Lee versus Macy Barber, which we're talking about, the main event, Sandhagen versus Vera, and the Lingo versus where's it? Verd? Landwehr Lingo. Maybe all 3 of these fights are fight of the night contenders for different fight cards, but the fact they're on the same one is almost like insane to see that there might be actually 3 fight of the nights in one night.
Right.
But I understand totally what you're saying, because these guys truly, I mean, these 2 women will go forward, and again, they don't mind getting hit. Whereas, and the other fighters, they don't, the main event, they're going to keep the distance a little bit better, so less chance for fight of the night. Then the other fight, which is Lingo Landwehr, that one is one of those fights where Landwehr could take over.
Style mismatch.
Yeah, it could be like a takeover for Landwehr. So I understand what you're saying. This could be fight of the night. I get it, man. Sounds good. I mean, you get me hyped for this fight now. So yeah.
So what I'm going for is a Macy Barber win.
Yeah.
And if you want to put a little spice to it, go the distance. Actually, it might be a smarter bet is going the distance.
Yeah, for me, because Lee can kind of beat the hooks to the punch with the straight punches. The straight punches is always the quickest. Doubles up. She can go 1-2, 1, and then 2 or 2 lefts, straight punches, and then she does the leg kicks. Not saying that she's going to necessarily beat Macy Barber, but if she steals the first round somehow, just because she surprises Macy with that style matchup of the straight punches versus Macy's hooks. Then if Macy loses the first round, Macy will be like minus $150 to make $100 rather than $270, so it's cheaper. So it's a great chance for a live bet. That's why I'm kind of hoping for, and then maybe I can get a little bet on Barber. We'll see what happens, but definitely the distance. And you're going with Barber, smart. She's a future contender.
Money lane Barber. That's what I'm going for. Thanks for listening, everybody. Welcome to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. We are talking about the UFC on ESPN Cheeto versus Sandhagen fight. But this particular fight we're talking about Austin Lingo versus Nate Landwehr. I think this is a landslide victory win for Nate Landwehr. I'm not saying that he's going to knock him out or submit him, but I think this fight's going to be pretty easy for him. What do you think about that backhand?
Yeah, for me, I am edging towards Landwehr. They both have fast leg kicks. But for me, so it's kind of like, it's kind of one of those things where they both are, can throw these pretty strong punches. Landwehr's got the edge on power, and then fast. They both have fast leg kicks. It's going to be for me fight of the night, and that's my prediction. I am edging towards Nate Landwehr. However, I'm going to be honest. Every time it's like we pick fight of the night, and I pick the favorite, it always turns into a 50-50 matchup. So for me, I'm not going to bet. I'm going to live bet this one, 100%. This is the one fight where I'm not going to bet at all going into it. I'm just being honest about it. I do believe it's fight of the night, and it's mostly because, well, it's a style matchup. I mean, Lingo loves to go forward and loves to throw combinations, but likes to load up and doesn't really throw with super accuracy, but he likes to throw with hammers. And they both have fast leg kicks, but Nate Landwehr stands in the pocket, 100%, does not kind of go on the run. He's right in front of you. Will leg kick you, will jab you and take a jab, but he knows his jab has more damage. Right. So he's one of those guys. He's a perfect guy to watch fight because you're gonna get your money's worth when you watch him fight.
Nate Landwehr is super strong, and he wrestles. He can wrestle, so he's a stand and bang fighter that wants to throw. But if you give him an opportunity, he will take you down. So, super strong wrestler versus a guy who throws combination. I think this is a no-brainer for Nate Landwehr to win.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I was normal me, the old version of me would 100% put money on Landwehr. He's minus 210, so $210 to make $100. A little bit not too expensive considering he is really good. He's 16 wins and 4 losses, but Austin Lingo has 9 wins and 1 loss. So records-wise, it's close. And then on top of that, they both have fast leg kicks, so that it's a recipe for fight of the night. They both throw, pretty heavy-handed. But the thing is that Landwehr, better athlete, I would say. And that's the main difference. Landwehr is the better athlete than Lingo, and then also Lingo's specialty is going forward, throwing, 3-punch combinations with a leg kick. Landwehr can match the leg kick, and Landwehr has like a specialty where even though he stands right in the pocket and it's just I punch you, you punch me, rock'em sock'em kind of thing. Landwehr, when you come after him and start running after him with punches, he all of a sudden the athlete inside of him turns on and he knows how to do the footwork and really go backwards really well with the head movement. Perfect head movement, perfect sidestepping, knows how to change the angle and get you off of him, basically, and just knows how to evade. Very elusive when he wants to be. However, he doesn't like to be elusive most of the fight. He stands right in front of you and exchanges. And the funny thing is, but he knows that when he turns you into that fight, when he dictates the fight by standing in the pocket, he's going to beat most people because he's got more power, more athleticism, better jab than most fighters, faster leg kicks, especially because he's used to throwing leg kicks in the pocket. Lingo does have fast leg kicks, but Lingo likes to throw 2 or 3 punches, then throw a leg kick. Landwehr will just throw the leg kick right off the bat. So it's kind of one of those things where Landwehr is going to, I feel, take the fight where he wants it, which is right in your face. And when a guy like that dictates the fight, edge towards him. But like I said, I'm going with a live bet just because every time I predict the fight of the night, it always turns into a 50-50 coin flip. I just, that's why I'm doing it.
Okay, live bet it if you want, but I'm going Landwehr. So thanks for listening, everybody.
For continuing to listen to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast, I'm Lousy with Backhand over there predicting UFC on ESPN Sandhagen Vera. And this is the co-main event. This is former champion Holly Holm versus Yana Santos at 135 pounds. For me, I'm giving a slight edge towards Holly Holm, but she's minus 240. She's 41 years old. Is that right, man? She's 41? 41 years old, and that's just something where I'm like, minus 240. She just lost to the person that Yana beat 2 fights ago. So for me, I feel like Holly's going to win. But it's going to be another boring little. I think it's going to go all 3 rounds. So I'm going to bet a small bet on going the distance, and then live bet the fight.
For me, I think Holly Holm is a better fighter, but with a 10-year age gap, that's a problem. Or what is it? 8-year age gap. My bad. So 41 for a woman fighter, it's good. Even though she has more talent, I'm going with Yana. Even though I think Holly's a better fighter. Holly's a kickboxer that has patience. She does not throw a ridiculous amount because of her style. But when she does throw, it's going to hit. So, I don't know. I think Yana's going to win this fight, but it's going to be close.
So for me, Yana is a person who tries to take it to the ground. She doesn't mind grappling the whole fight. She showed that against in her second to last fight with Caitlin Vieira. And it was Caitlin Vieira took her down for round 1 and round 3. Yana took Caitlin down for round 2, but round 1 she actually landed more strikes, and that's why she won round 1 and I think 2. And she ended up winning. And then Holly fought the same woman in her last fight, Caitlin Vieira, and Holly lost a split decision. It was a close fight, but again, it was a lot of grappling and made it messy. And Caitlin can strike too, and Holly doesn't go for takedowns, so. Kind of Caitlin had that edge with the takedowns and the striking. But Holly really did show that she could get up off the ground really quickly, and, she looked good in the fight. And the funny thing is, I don't know if I've ever seen this. So Caitlin Vieira is their common opponent. Holly just lost to her, and Yana beat Caitlin 2 fights ago. And then Yana Santos, she's the opponent of Holly Holm in this fight. Yana Santos' last fight, she lost by TKO to Irene Aldana. And Holly Holm just beat Irene Aldana 2 fights ago. So they both have the last 2 fights, the same 2 common opponents. I don't know if I've ever seen this. It's hilarious.
Yeah, but fighting is not a math problem. So A plus B does not mean equals C. So, right. But if you are just going to go by matchups, who they fought, they both actually fought some bangers. Mm-hmm. And they both fought bangers at the same time that they were fighting. So, but age is a huge difference. And if you just go by off of age, you're going to go with Yana.
Yeah, for me, I do think Holly has the edge just because she showed that she can get up really, really well versus Caitlin. She's getting better at that, even though she's 41 years old. Hard to make a case for a 41-year-old because Yana is only 33. But Holly really showed she could get off the ground really quickly from the takedown. And Yana and Caitlin were pretty equal on the takedowns. Caitlin actually had more takedowns and controlled Yana for more of their fight together 2 fights ago. So Holly can get off the ground. Holly's got the better jab, better punching, of course, because she's a former Hall of Fame boxer. She's a boxing legend. And then her leg kicks are...
Stop me if I'm wrong. Is she undefeated boxer? I think she might be.
I'll have to look that up. She could be. She actually could be. I mean,
so I don't know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
If you go like, where am I gonna go for you? I fought everybody.
Yeah.
So I'll go to UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, she goes. There's not enough money in boxing for her right now.
It's too easy.
Let's go to UFC. Maybe it'll blow up. I don't know. I feel like getting a belt. Yeah. I feel like getting a belt in a new sport. It's crazy. She's gonna be a Hall of Famer. Everyone talks about who's the best combat sports athlete of all time. Some people think Henry Cejudo. Some people think whoever because he's got wrestling gold medal plus it's Holly Holm. Holly Holm. She knocked out the pound-for-pound queen, Ronda Rousey, and got the belt here in UFC. And she's a Hall of Famer in boxing with, 9 title defenses. Yeah. She's a Hall of Famer in boxing and UFC. Yeah. Does not happen. People say wrestling is the hardest sport. I don't know, maybe, but I'm thinking that boxing is very difficult because you have to be ridiculously in shape. Yeah. You see them in the corner, they don't even drink the water, right? They give the water, they spit it out. They don't need it. They're in such good shape. They just want to wet the mouth, In UFC, they're actually drinking water. So I'm just saying, what's harder, boxing or UFC? I'll say boxing is more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, cardio-wise. But
UFC is more exciting.
Win or lose, do you think this is Holly Holm's last fight?
I'd like to see her go out on a win, just because it's as she ages, she's gonna lose that step. She's gonna lose that mind-body connection, and I don't want to see her get hurt. Yana's not the girl to hurt her. That's why I kind of like a live bet, going the distance is a great bet for this fight, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm doing a small bet for going the distance all 3 rounds. And because Holly's not going to really finish Yana. Yana did get finished in her last fight. That's why I'm a little bit kind of weary, and that's why I'm doing a small bet. And then just live bet it is what I'm going to think about doing. Hopefully Yana wins the first round because she's younger, and then bet Holly later maybe.
I'm just going Yana because of the age difference, but Yana for the win. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. This is We've Been Drinking MMA. This is Backhand.
This is Lousy.
And, dude, this is the main event. The moment we've been waiting for. Marlon Vera versus Cory Sandhagen at 135 pounds. I'm just gonna say right now, quickly, I'm going with Marlon Vera.
And I'm going Cory Sandhagen.
This has got to be. Anytime we pick like the opposite fighter, it becomes like an absolute banger of a fight, and anything can happen. And this is amazing. Let's look at the stats real quick before we start breaking down why we think each guy is gonna win. First of all, any guy can win. They're both freaking phenomenal strikers. There's no wrestling. There's not going to be like almost. I mean, Sandhagen tries to overtake it, but he's not a wrestler. He's got 0.7 takedowns per fight, so he doesn't have a takedown. And Marlon Vera has 0.7 as well, so he doesn't have any takedowns in a fight, basically.
So same fighter.
Same fighter, man. Same reach, basically. The only difference is that Cory Sandhagen is 3 inches taller and has 2 more significant strikes per minute. He's got 6 significant strikes per minute, and Marlon Vera has 4 significant strikes per minute. So a little slight advantage to Cory Sandhagen with the volume. But we all know that Vera has the great equalizer, the power.
Yes.
In his hands and in his feet, as he showed in his last fight versus...
He's not shy with those elbows either.
No.
But with Sandhagen, with his strikes, it just doesn't come with one. It comes with combinations. That's why I like Sandhagen. We've been talking this fight up for months, and just off of this podcast, we really, oh my God, this fight's happening. This is great. So get your popcorn ready, guys. This is gonna be a good fight. So, but I think Sandhagen's gonna win, and my buddy over here thinks Vera. You can't go wrong with either one. I wouldn't even want to put money on this fight, but because it's gonna be so entertaining.
It's so entertaining.
If this were on a pay-per-view, I would not. Okay, that makes sense, because it's going to 2 really, really good fighters. Mm-hmm. Cheeto versus Sandhagen. But Sandhagen, in my opinion, is going to win. I don't have a good explanation.
No, the volume of strikes. You like the volume of strikes versus the power.
Yeah.
You like he's going to land more strikes.
Yes.
And he does land more. He does land more strikes. The reason I'm going with Vera is. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. You know, he lost to Aldo about 3 years ago. Jose Aldo, the legend. Ever since then, he's on a 4-fight win streak. He had a decision win over Davey Grant, who had a nice comeback win the other week. KO over the legend Frankie Edgar. A unanimous decision over Rob Font, who was a contender. And then the former GOAT at 135, Dominic Cruz, he KO'd him, obliterated him. So this is the reason that I'm going with Marlon Vera, is what he did to Dominic Cruz. It took him 4 rounds, but he got the KO, and that's a big reason why I'm picking him, is because, well, honestly, I was going to say Marlon Vera gets better as the fight goes on, but so does Sandhagen. That's the thing. They both get better as the fight goes on. So that's why it's a phenomenal style matchup. They, like, round for round, they're equal. Like, the first round definitely, they're both feeling out they both have the same game plan, except obviously Vera's a power striker and Sandhagen's a volume striker, but they both feel their opponent out in the first round. They try different things, different angles. They both like to go forward a little bit. And then they start to get defensive as the rounds go on, and not defensive, but just a little bit more distance keeps the stand farther away.
They are like diesel engines. The way it takes a while for them to warm up, but once they warm up, they're gonna go for hours. Mm-hmm. So, because they have amazing cardio, they're not gonna gas out. They might get caught with a punch because it's a fight, but like, they're not going to gas out because they're throwing punches. I don't think so anyway. So, what do you think?
I mean, I think there's so many fights to be made at 135, right? But it's always like a wrestler boxer versus like some like slow striker, or fast striker versus some guy who's got some wrestling, a little bit of wrestling. Regardless, this is the fight, though. This is the fight that people want to see. It's a pay-per-view worthy fight because both fighters their losses only come to the absolute top legends of the sport in that weight class. What's his name? Sandhagen only has 2 losses in his last, 5 fights, and both of them come to the champions, or former champion, TJ Dillashaw and Peter Yan. Vera, has 1 loss in his last 5 fights, comes to against Aldo, who is the GOAT at 145, or the weight class higher than this. So it's just phenomenal. These guys are top tier. And the reason I'm going with Marlon Vera, so this is the thing for me. Marlon Vera likes to go forward. Sandhagen likes to go forward in the beginning. However, lately he lost to TJ Dillashaw. And that was about 3 fights ago. And he lost to wrestling. And that bothered him. I remember him saying, Cory Sandhagen saying in an interview, I don't need to necessarily change my striking. I just need to incorporate more wrestling. I need to become more of a mixed martial artist. And that's what I saw him do in his last fight versus Song Yadong. Song Yadong is a phenomenal striker, very fast strikes, great counters. And, Sandhagen, the first 2 rounds were kind of iffy. He could have lost the first round. It was very close. And the reason is that Sandhagen went for 4 takedowns, all failed attempts. But it shows that he's trying to incorporate wrestling into his fights. Now, so my point is Sandhagen is still figuring out who he is. Now, Marlon Vera, in the first round, he's also a little bit slow starter, but he goes forward, puts the pressure, and he got a knockdown over Dominic Cruz in the first round. That's why I'm thinking edge towards Marlon Vera in the first round. In the second round, Dominic kind of, got a few more strikes than Marlon Vera, got round 2. Sandhagen gets a little bit faster in round 2, so, round 2 could go to Sandhagen. Yeah. So either way, either of those, the first 2 rounds, I feel it can go either way. I think each of them will get a round. I don't know which one, but I'm thinking round 1 for Vera, round 2 for Sandhagen. Round 3 is when both of them start to back up a little bit and create more distance because now they know their reads on their opponents. They've tried all the tactics in the first 2 rounds. And that's why it's so exciting because now they'll start to back up. Now Vera won't get leg kicked like he did in the first 2 rounds versus Dominic Cruz. Vera now backs up and then evades the kicks. He's got the reads on the defense. Sandhagen, same thing. He's now keeping the distance, not getting hit a lot at all. And so now Vera, when he goes forward in the 3rd round, Sandhagen's going to be backing up, but Sandhagen's going to be keeping the distance. But now they're both making reads. It's hard to predict, but I'm thinking that Vera, everything he throws is with power, but it's with easy power. He's not lunging into the punches. He's just throwing a pawing overhand, it's just easy. And that's the type of punches that he has. He can knock down Dominic Cruz in the first round, gets the read in the 4th round. He literally baited Dominic Cruz in by letting Dominic, go a little bit closer. Then Cheeto pushed forward, and then Dominic dipped out like he always does and does his awkward dipping thing where he's dipping outside. And then Cheeto just timed him by going in a little bit more and then throwing the kick perfectly. So my point is that Cheeto is setting up knockouts, in my opinion, on another level. He studies his opponent with his coach, Jason Perillo, comes up with a game plan, knows it's going to happen. And with a 3-round fight, it could kind of go either way, I feel. But in a 5-round fight, I feel like Vera has that edge because he is setting up these knockouts really brilliant ways. Like I said, they're both keeping the distance in the later rounds, but the power can catch up. And Sandhagen is keeping the distance, but he's not necessarily throwing a bunch of strikes in the 3rd round. Sandhagen is just keeping that distance and, throwing strikes, but Vera is keeping that distance and still being very aggressive, but still calculated. So I think as the fight goes on, Vera will up the strike count. And of course, we know the power from Vera. So the power is going to add up in the 3rd, 4th, and possibly even 5th round if it goes. It's a phenomenal fight. It's a close fight. I just think that Vera is setting up those power shots, evading the leg kicks that Cory Sandhagen is so good at. And in the punching exchanges, I feel like Marlon Vera in the 3rd round and even 4th round started to really see Dominic Cruz's movements quickly. And he was reacting like he could see it. I could see him looking at Dominic Cruz's body, and that's why he was so confident in getting the knockout in the 4th round. He didn't care about dropping the 2nd and 3rd round because I really feel like in the 3rd round he started to see the movements, see the shots coming. He saw everything coming, and that's why he timed Dominic Cruz in the 4th round. Right now, his vision for seeing the strikes of his opponents, and Dominic Cruz is hard to see because he's so awkward. If he can do that with Dominic Cruz, he can do it to Cory Sandhagen. I just think right now his vision is amazing. So going with Vera.
I'm going with Sandhagen. Good analysis back end. Thank you for listening, everybody. Welcome to the We've Been Drinking MMA podcast. This part of the podcast, we are going to talk about our locks and our 3-fight parlay that we decide on the card for this card. So my lock of the fight of this card is Nate Landwehr versus Austin Lingo, and I'm picking Nate Landwehr is my lock. He is also part of my parlay, one leg of it. The other 2 legs are Trey Ogden, he's on the prelim, and Macy Barber, just money line, all money line fights. So Trey Ogden, Macy Barber, Nate Landwehr is my parlay. So I'm going to hand it off to Backhand, and he's going to give you his locks and his parlay. So
I like those picks, man. Great athletes with Landwehr and Macy Barber. So for me, my lock is going to be Andrea Lee, Macy Barber going all 3 rounds. I'm going to bet the distance or just the over 2, just that it goes to the 3rd round. But yeah, one of those 2 is going to be my lock, just going the distance or over 2 rounds. And my parlay is going to be the same. Andrea Lee, Macy Barber going the distance, all 3 rounds. Holly Holm and Yana Santos going all 3 rounds. Just don't think they have the power. And then Manel Kopp. Just think that he's just amazing right now. Just haven't seen a fighter like him right now. He's just unbelievable. So, yeah, that's rounding out the parlay. Only reason I don't want Manel Kopp for my lock is that, man, Alex Perez is a dangerous guy, man. He's just dangerous, man. He's a great fighter.
You just never know with his wrestling.
Yeah. So, you got Macy Barber, Nate Landwehr, Trey Ogden, and yeah, those are your 3, right?
Yeah. My lock is Nate Landwehr, and he's part of my parlay as well. And I got Trey Ogden. He's on the prelim. He's fighting a tomato can, in my opinion. And Macy Barber.
Yeah. So, Macy Barber. So, Nate Landwehr, we both think, Macy Barber's a future contender. She's going to fight for the belt soon. She's very young, like in her mid-20s, early 20s probably, actually. She's very young. And she's got a lot of athleticism. But Nate Landwehr is your lock versus Austin Lingo. Austin Lingo's 9-1. Nate Landwehr is 16-4. But he is a slight favorite. Why do you like Nate Landwehr as your lock?
His pressure and his ability to stand and bang, and he can has that footwork to slip and actually wrestle as well. So his pressure, his wrestling, and his stand and bang style.
That's perfect. Well said. I mean, like that's who you want in a lock. Like somebody who is going to pressure, who can back up when he needs to, and who can put that who's got the better power punches. That's awesome. That's great for me. For my lock, Macy Barber, Andrea Lee. I just think Macy Barber is definitely the better fighter. She's a future contender, going to go fight for the belt soon. I'm sure in the next 2 years. But, for me, I just think that she throws a lot of hooks. She's good on the ground, but Andrea Lee can do okay on the ground and throws those straight punches. So for me, I like Andrea Lee to kind of sting her a little bit, intercept. That's what Andrea Lee is good at. They both like to go forward a little bit, and Andrea Lee can kind of sometimes sting her with a straight left and throw two punches in a row, 2 straight punches, get some kicks in there, leg kicks. So it's just kind of one of those fights that I feel like can go a little back and forth, and then I'm sure 3rd round probably Macy Barber just takes over is probably what's going to happen. But I like it going the distance just because of those straight punches from Lee. So, guys, thanks so much for listening. I'm super excited for this card. We got 3 fight of the night candidates, basically, right?
Yes.
The main event, Cheeto Vera versus Cory Sandhagen. That could be easily fight of the night. Yeah. They both throw a lot of strikes. Both like to, really stand up and strike. We have the Nate Landwehr, Austin Lingo fight. Look forward to that one just because they both like to go forward and, again, throw heavy strikes. And then
one more up.
Oh, yeah. And then this one?
Yeah, that one.
Macy Barber, Andrea Lee. Yeah. Again, they like to go forward. They don't mind getting clipped. That's the thing. I forgot about that.
They don't mind getting hit at all, and they don't mind throwing punches. So It's going to be a good fight.
Man, there's a lot of great fights on the card. Super excited for this one. And, leave some comments below if, you are excited about whatever fight you're excited about. And, throw your predictions out there, too, so we can see your predictions, guys.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, we like that stuff. So like and subscribe, comment. Thanks, guys.